Entities are an essential part of a successful SEO strategy, particularly as AI changes how people access information on the web. But most SEO teams lack a scalable way to identify the entities in their content, making Entity SEO difficult to execute and optimize. Schema App's entity reports solve this by showing all the entities we've identified on your website, along with the URLs where they appear. This gives your team a clear, actionable view to audit entity coverage, uncover gaps and redundancies, and spot new opportunities. Once you've implemented entity linking across your website, you'll come to the entity reports to audit the results and gather insights. The entity reports provide two distinct views for reviewing and analyzing your entities: the entity view and the URL view. The entity view report showcases the breadth and coverage of the entities identified and embedded across pages within your schema markup. This can help you understand how widely each entity is covered across your content. The URL view shows the same data, but from the URL point of view. Rather than entity coverage, this can give you an understanding of the depth of the content on each URL based on the entity count. Both reports contain actions. The actions in the URL view include show entities and show schema. Each entity on your website will have a name, a URL count indicating the number of web pages where this entity was identified, the type that categorizes that entity, and same as relationships, which link the entity to that same entity in other external authoritative knowledge bases, like Wikidata, Wikipedia, and Google's Knowledge Graph. From here I can search for individual entities within the search box, see the total number of entities that have been identified, or download the table as a CSV, where I can customize which columns I want to include. This report can be used to discover which topics or entities your content currently covers, identify content gaps and opportunities for entities with a lower URL count, and help you understand how other authoritative knowledge bases interpret this very same entity. Each entity in this view has associated actions. I can see the schema markup embedded in every web page that mentions this entity, and I can access the full list of URLs, which I can also click to copy if I'm interested in doing further analysis in other tools. This report is also helpful for auditing and reviewing entities if you're wanting to make any changes to further optimize them. As part of the audit, you'll want to make sure that your top entities in terms of URL count are being categorized in a way that you would expect, and that they're linking out to the right same as properties. As I'm reviewing my entities, I might want to check out the same as values. For example, the Wikipedia page, if I'm interested in learning more about this topic. I could also check out the Wikidata page, which can help me get a better understanding of the properties and attributes associated with this entity as it might be understood by machines, Wikidata's intended audience. For example, here I could see that SEO has a practice by relationship with the SEO specialist entity, and also that it's a subclass of both internet marketing and digital marketing. The Wikidata page will even contain links to identifiers from other authoritative knowledge bases, including things like a Freebase ID, which is basically legacy data that built up the Google Knowledge Graph. So the Freebase ID here is actually the exact same as the Google Knowledge Graph identifier that we have within our entity reports. Now I saved the Google Knowledge Graph identifier for last because this will take you to the search engine results page within Google that represents that entity within Google's Knowledge Graph. In this example, I can see an AI overview for the concept of SEO, a knowledge panel further describing information about that entity, as sourced by Wikipedia, and some of the top authoritative websites in this space as well. All information that can come in handy as I'm crafting content strategy or writing content for high priority topics. Now, in some instances, you may come across entities that you actually don't want to deploy within your markup. An example of this here is Highlighter. Schema App has a product called the Highlighter, but it doesn't have a Wikipedia, Wikidata, or Google Knowledge Graph entity. And in this case, these are actually linking out to web pages that represent the fluorescent pen or writing device. Now for cases like these, I can click the Actions button and choose to block the entity. Blocking the entity will prevent it from deploying within my markup and will be demarcated with a blocked sign in the status column. In other cases, I may want to make edits to an existing entity to supplement the same as relationships, change the name, or maybe modify the type, in which case I can click Actions and Edit Entity, which will take me to the Entity Manager. Once I'm done making edits, a pencil icon will show up in the status column. When I'm done reviewing or making modifications to an entity, I can mark that entity as optimized. This allows me to know which entities have been reviewed, which ones are highest priority, and which entities I want to get performance data about in the Entity Performance Analytics dashboard. So whether you're wanting to run more efficient entity audits, improve knowledge graph accuracy, or gain content insights for data-driven decision-making, Schema F's entity reports provide clear visibility into the entities identified across your website. These reports empower teams to make data-driven decisions that enhance content coverage, reduce redundancy, and improve SEO performance. So get in touch with us today to see how you can leverage our Entity Hub solution.